The Roadmaster is an automobile that was built by Buick from 1936 to 1958, and again from 1991 to 1996. Roadmasters produced between 1936 and 1958 were built on Buick's longest non-limousine wheelbase and shared their basic structure with entry-level Cadillac and, after 1940, senior Oldsmobiles. Between 1946 and 1957 the Roadmaster served as Buick's flagship, and when it was resurrected for the 1991 through 1996 model years it was the marque's largest vehicle. 1936 a Euro 1937, the origins of the Roadmaster name date to 1936 when Buick added names to its entire model lineup to celebrate the engineering improvements and design advancements over their 1935 models. Buick Series 40 was named the Special, the Series 60 was named the Century and the Series 90 a Euro Buick's largest and most luxurious vehicle a Euro was named the Limited. The Series 50 was retired, but new for the model year was the Series 80 Roadmaster. The implications of the name were clear, for as the 1936 Buick sales catalog said, it literally named itself the first time a test model leveled out on the open highway. The Roadmaster was introduced in a year when Buick's valve and head straight 8 engines were heavily revised. Buick reduced the number of engines from 4 sizes to 2, a 233 cubic inch, 93 horsepower job for the Special, and a big, 320.2 cubic inch, 120 horsepower engine for the other series. In addition to this major engineering change 1936 was also the year Buick adopted an all-steel turret top and hydraulic brakes. Coil springs were in the front. The Roadmaster was a big car, in sedan form tipping the scales at 4,098 pounds, some 88 pounds heavier than Cadillac's new Series 60. But price-wise, the Roadmaster was a tremendous bargain. The sedan sold for $1,255, $440 less than the least expensive Cadillac. The only other body style available was a 4-door convertible Phaeton, priced at $1,565, at a time when a Cadillac in the same body style sold at prices ranging from $2,745 to $7,850. Buick a Euro unregistered trademark as new engineering and styling was a big hit, with model year sales more than tripling from just over 48,000 to nearly 158,000, and with the all-new Series 80 Roadmaster contributing a total of 16,049 units to that number. With Roadmaster being a completely new model, and with Buick having totally restyled its entire line for 1936, one might have expected only modest changes for 1937. But that was not the case. Buick was the only GM car, along with the Chevrolet Standard, to retain its basic 1934 styling for 1935, so the 1936 restyle merely caught Buick up with the rest of the GM marques. For 1937, Buick moved to newly restyled bodies along with all other GM cars. The Roadmaster gained a divided grille with horizontal bars. The center section of the grille was painted to match the body of the car. Fenders became squared off and the headlight shells were gracefully streamlined. Overall height fell by 1.5 inches without sacrificing interior room. A new carburetor and revised camshaft raised engine horsepower to 130. The engine also received a new intake manifold, oil pump, cooling system and a quieter overhead valve mechanism. A formal sedan, featuring a roll-down glass partition between the front and rear compartments, was added to the Roadmaster line for $1,641, of which 452 were sold. The price of the sedan was raised to $1,518, and that of the Phaeton to $1,856, or by 21% and 19% respectively. Nevertheless, overall Roadmaster sales increased to 16,129. 1938 a Euro 1939. Styling changes for 1938 were modest, with a longer hood extending to a now nearly vertical grille, taller bumper guards and redesigned hubcaps, but the effect was striking. Important changes were made to both engine and chassis. The ride was improved by replacing the rear leaf springs with coil springs, supported by double-acting shock absorbers that were some 4 times the size of any others on the market. The frame X-member was changed from I-beam to channel construction and all wood structural elements were replaced with steel. The engine combustion chambers were redesigned and new turbulator pistons raised the compression ratio from 5.9 to 6.51, resulting in an increase in horsepower to 141. The 4-door convertible Phaeton traded its built-in trunk look for a fastback appearance, and a new fastback sedan was added to the line with 466 being sold. The Roadmaster's price was increased, but not as swiftly as the previous year, going to $1,645 for the sedan. Although Buick unregistered trademark S overall market share increased in an off-year, Roadmaster sales plummeted to 55.68, falling from 7.3% to 3.3% of Buick's total output. Styling for 1939 featured a new 2-piece Euro grille with thin vertical bars. The hood was narrower, front door pillars were narrower and hubcaps were larger. Window area increased substantially with the rear window changing to a 1-piece design. On the interior all major gauges were moved to in front of the driver and the gear shift was moved to a column mount. The 4-door Phaeton could now be ordered with the built-in trunk appearance or as a fastback, but only 3 of the later were actually sold. Although prices were reduced, sales only rose to $60.97, with Roadmaster unregistered trademark S share of Buick unregistered trademark S total sales falling to 2.9%. 1940 1941, in 1940 the Series 80 was renamed Limited. The Roadmaster name was transferred to the new Series 70, which was introduced at the same time as a brand new Series 50 Super. The Roadmaster featured a cutting-edge torpedo C-body. The new C-body that the 1940 Buick Roadmaster shared with the Super, the Cadillac Series 62, the Oldsmobile Series 90, and the Pontiac Torpedo featured shoulder and hip rim that was over 5 inches wider, the elimination of running boards and exterior styling that was streamlined and 2 to 3 lower. When combined with a column-mounted shift lever, the cars offered true 6-passenger comfort. These changes had clearly been influenced by the Cadillac 60 Special. The 1940 Roadmaster had a shorter wheelbase, was lighter, and was less expensive than the previous Euro unregistered trademark S model. The formal and fastback sedans were gone, but for the first time a 2-door coupe was available, which sold a respectable 3,991 units. Also new for this year, the coach-building firm of Brin was asked to design several custom-bodied Buicks for the Series 70, 80 and 90. Only one Roadmaster example is known to have actually been produced in 1940, an open-front town car not surprisingly called the Townmaster. Overall sales more than tripled to 18,345. The styling changes for 1941 were modest, but the changes under the hood were major. The compression ratio was raised from 6.61 to 7.01, the turbulator pistons were redesigned. Smaller spark plugs were substituted for the previous type and a Euro OE compound carburation Euro was introduced. Compound carburation was the forerunner of the modern 4-barrel carburetor, and consisted of twin 2-barrel carburetors. One unit operated all of the time, while the other operated only under hard acceleration. The new engine delivered 165 horsepower. With 5 more horsepower than a senior Packard, 15 more than any Cadillac, and 25 more than the largest Chryslers, it was the most powerful engine available that year on an American car. A new body style for this year was a 2-door convertible, which sold 1,845 units. There was also one Brin-designed convertible produced, but priced at $3,500. Actual orders for the vehicle failed to appear. Overall sales remained respectable at 15,372. 1942 Euro 1948. The 1942 Roadmaster was longer, lower, wider, and roomier than before, thanks in part to a longer wheelbase. There was also a new vertical bar grille and airfoil fenders that swept back all the way to the rear fenders, which in subsequent generations became the chrome sweep spear. Both features became a Buick icon exhibited in one way or another for years to come, and were influenced by the concept car called the Buick Wide Job. The four-door Phaeton was dropped and would never return. Coupes adopted the appealing sedan-net fastback style that had been the sensation of 1941 on the Century and Special. Effective at the beginning of 1942, new automobiles were available only to those in occupations deemed essential to the war effort. By mid-January, cars with no exterior chrome trim apart from the bumpers were being produced. By February, passenger car production was shut down completely. Despite the abbreviated model year, a total of about 8,400 were sold. When post-war automobile production resumed in the 1946 model year, chrome was more sparingly applied, swept-back fenders were fitted to sedans as well as coupes, and a war-inspired bombsight hood ornament was adopted. The instrument panel was two-toned with wood-grain facings except on convertibles which used body-colored panels. Series identification was found on cloisonne emblems centered in the bumper guard front and rear. Compound carburation was eliminated and the compression ratio was reduced to 6.601. As a consequence, the 1946 Roadmaster's horsepower fell from 165 to 144. Torque, on the other hand, was hardly affected. Nevertheless, Roadmaster, a Euro unregistered trademark SI8, still produced more horsepower than a top-of-the-line Chryslers. Due to wartime inflation, prices were substantially higher. The biggest change was in sales proportions. Roadmaster increased its share of Buick sales from 4% in 1941 to 20% in 1946, with a total of about 31,400 sold. In 1947, a new stamped grille with a separate upper bar was used. The Roadmaster name appeared in red-filled script on a chrome button within the bumper guard crossbars, front and rear. All new was an estate wagon body style. It sold 300 units and instantly became the top of the line in the station wagon market. In 1948, a series script appeared on the front fenders and the white tonalite steering wheel that had been used previously was traded in for a black one, in order to match the change from a two-tone wood-grain instrument panel to a two-tone grey instrument panel, with silver-tone instruments. A new optional custom trim option was offered, consisting of cloth upholstery with leather bolsters with a robe cord cover and lower door panels trimmed in leatherette. Convertibles acquired power windows, seat and top as standard equipment. But the biggest advancement was the introduction of Dynaflow, the first passenger car torque converter transmission. Optional on Roadmaster in its first year, it was so popular that by the following it was standard equipment. Overall sales were just under 80,000 in both 1947 and 1948, over 4 times greater than in any pre-war year. 1949 a Euro 1953. The Roadmaster received its first major post-war restyling in 1949. Its wheelbase and overall length were reduced, but its weight was actually marginally increased. The biggest change was a much larger two-piece, curved glass windshield that the sales brochure described as like an A observation car. It was also in 1949 that Buick introduced Venti Ports. 4 were displayed on each of the Roadmaster's front fenders, with 3 on the fenders of all other Buicks. The sales brochure noted that Venti Ports helped ventilate the engine compartment, and possibly that was true in early 1949, but sometime during the model year they became plugged. The idea for Venti Ports grew out of a modification Buick styling chief Ned Nichols had added to his own 1948 Roadmaster. He had installed 4 amber lights on each side of his car, a Euro unregistered trademark S hood wired to the distributor so as to flash on and off as each piston fired, simulating the flames from the exhaust stack of a fighter airplane. Combined with the bombsight mascot, Venti Ports put the driver at the controls of an imaginary fighter airplane. Upon seeing this, Buick chief Harlow Curtis was so delighted that he ordered that Venti Ports be installed on all 1949 Buicks, with the number of Venti Ports corresponding to the relative displacement of the straight 8 engine installed. Dynaflow was now standard equipment, and engine horsepower was increased to 150 and gave the new Buicks a top speed of 110 miles per hour, through a slight increase in the compression ratio. In the middle of the year, the Riviera joined the body style lineup, selling 4,314 units. Featuring power windows as standard equipment, the two-door Buick Roadmaster Riviera, along with the Cadillac Series 62 Coupe de Ville and the Oldsmobile 98 Holiday, was among the first hardtop coupes ever produced. The Riviera was also notable for its popular optional sweep spear chrome body side molding, which would soon become a Buick trademark. This chrome-plated strip started above the front wheel, after which it gently curved down nearly to the rocker panel just before the rear wheel, and then curved around the rear wheel in a quarter of a circle to go straight back to the tail light. The Riviera Trim, as it was initially called, was also made available on the Roadmaster convertible very late in the model year. With a total of 88,130 sold, the all-time annual record for Roadmaster, the model accounted for 27% of all Buick sales, a remarkably high proportion in light of its price, which was only slightly less than a Cadillac Series 61. The 1950 restyling featured a grille so toothy that Consumer Reports commented that a toothbrush for the dentures comes extra. The sweep spear has proved so popular in its first year that it was made standard on most body styles at the beginning of the 1950 model year, and on the station wagon and the new long wheelbase sedan mid-year. The long wheelbase sedan was stretched an extra 4 inches. Like the convertibles, the Riviera and the extra plush long wheelbase sedan came with both power windows and power seats as standard equipment. Overall Roadmaster sales fell to 75,034, with Roadmaster a Euro unregistered trademark's share of total Buick output plummeting to 12%, thanks mainly to the surging popularity of the Special. In 1951 the long wheelbase sedan was also called a Riviera although it was not a hardtop. The sedanette and regular wheelbase sedan were cancelled. Styling changes were minimal in 1951 and 1952. Power steering was added as an option in 1952 and horsepower climbed to 170 thanks primarily to a new 4-barrel carburetor. Sales continued to slide, falling to about 66,000 in 1951 and to 51,000 in 1952. By 1953 the Roadmaster Straight 8 was 16 years old and had become seriously dated. All of Roadmaster a Euro unregistered trademark's major competitors had shifted to short-stroke V8 engines, and if Buick wanted to continue to be the paragon of longer, lower and wider, it needed one of its own. The new engine was ready in time for 1953, Buick a Euro unregistered trademark's golden anniversary year. Although the nailhead was nearly identical in displacement to the Straight 8 Fireball, it was 13.5 inches shorter, 4 inches lower, and 180 pounds lighter, but with 188 horsepower, it was 11% more powerful. The compression ratio increased from 7.501 to 8.501 and torque increased from 280 pound to 300 pound-feet. The compact dimensions of the V8 engine enabled Buick to reduce Roadmaster a Euro unregistered trademark's wheelbase by 4.75 inches across the line, although styling differences behind the engine cowl, apart from new V8 emblem hubcaps, were largely non-existent. Buick also introduced a new twin-turbine Dynaflow as a companion for the V8 engine. Estimated to increase torque at the wheels by 10%, the new transmission provided faster and quieter acceleration at reduced engine speeds. Both power steering and power brakes were made standard. Air conditioning was a new option and, years before many other makes, a 12-volt electrical system was adopted. A new body style for 1953 was the Skylark convertible. The Buick Roadmaster Skylark was one of 3 specialty convertibles produced in 1953 by General Motors, the other 2 being the Oldsmobile 98 Fiesta and the Cadillac Series 62 Eldorado. The Skylark featured open wheel wells, a drastically lowered belt line, a 4-inch chop from the standard Roadmaster's windshield, the absence of Venti Ports and a new sweep spear that anticipated Buick a Euro unregistered trademark's 1954 styling. Kelsey Hayes wire wheels and a solid boot cover were standard. At $5,000 only 1,690 units were produced. The following year, and for 1 year only, it would become its own series built on a Century body. This was the last year for the Roadmaster estate, and it was the last wood-bodied station wagon mass-produced in the United States. Its body was a product of Ionia Manufacturing, which built all Buick station wagon bodies between 1946 and 1964. Priced at $4,031, the estate was second in price only to the Skylark, with 670 being sold. Overall Roadmaster sales bounced back up to 79,137. 1954 Euro 1956. In 1954 Buick Roadmaster and Super shared with Cadillac and Oldsmobile 98 the new General Motors C-body, adopting the new ponton appearance, and the addition of Dagmar bumpers to the front. These were large, roomy cars, as much as 5.5 inches longer in wheelbase and more than 9 inches longer overall than in 1953. Roadmaster script was found on the rear quarters and within the deck ornament. Rear fenders had a blunted fin at the rear edge, with dual bullet tail lamps below. A new panoramic windshield with vertical side pillars was used. Seats had chrome bands on 2-door models and rear seats had an armrest on 4-door models. The front suspension was refined and Roadmaster's horsepower was increased to 200. The pillared coupe and the estate wagon were no longer offered as body styles. Overall sales dropped to 50,600. In 1955 broad lower rear fender bands, gold-colored Roadmaster deck script and hood ornament, bars on the hubcaps and gold-accented grille were added to distinguish Roadmaster. Horsepower jumped to 236, and a new variable pitch Dynaflow, in which the stator blades changed pitch under hard acceleration, provided quicker off-the-line getaway. Backup lights were now standard. Overall sales were 64,500. In 1956 Roadmaster had a shallower sweep spear that did not dip all the way to the rocker panel as on other models. Twin chrome strips graced the deck lid with Roadmaster spelled out between them. Roadmaster script now appeared on the doors beneath the vent windows. Fender-tip dual bomb sights was standard. 2 stator wheels were adopted as an improvement to Dynaflow. A brand new 4-door Riviera hardtop proved to be the most popular Roadmaster, with 24,770 units sold and outselling the pillared sedan by more than 2 to 1. Overall sales were 53,500. A padded dash became standard. 1957 Euro 1958. A lower body graced the 1957 Roadmaster with an even more panoramic windshield equipped with reverse slanted pillars. A red-filled sweep spear lined the body sides and a chromed rear fender lower panel filled the area between the wheelhouse and the bumper end, continuing to offer Dagmar bumpers at the front. A new centered fuel filler was found in the rear bumper, the ends of which the single or optional dual exhaust passed through. Roadmaster script was found within the deck and grille emblems. 2-door models had a trio of chevrons on the rear quarters, but the 4-door models had a Roadmaster emblem nestled within the sweep spear dip. Interiors featured a padded dashboard and were broadcloth and nylon in 4 doors, nylon in 2 doors and leather in convertibles. There was a new 364 cubic inch engine, developing 300 horsepower. A new ball joint suspension system improved handling. Evidently the 4-door Riviera hardtop proved so popular on its introduction the previous year that the pillared sedan was dropped entirely from the model lineup. Also, new was a mid-year production Roadmaster designated as Model 75, which was distinguished by standard power seats and windows, carpeted lower doors, a one-piece rear window, deluxe hubcaps and a Series 75 script found on the rear quarter body panel of the RM coupes and the rear door panels on the RM. 4-door sedans, thus replacing the standard 3 chevrons found in the same location on the standard full model year Roadmaster model lines. Nevertheless, overall Roadmaster sales plunged to about 33,000. However, this sales plunge was not an isolated occurrence found only at GM but was one shared by all manufacturers to one extent or another due to a capital market recession which affected the overall economy starting in late 1956 and extending into 1958. For 1958, GM was promoting their 50th year of production, and introduced anniversary models for each brand. Cadillac, Buick, Oldsmobile, Pontiac, and Chevrolet. The 1958 models shared a common appearance on the top models for each brand. Cadillac Eldorado Seville, Buick Roadmaster Riviera, Oldsmobile Holiday 88, Pontiac Bonneville Catalina, and the all-new Chevrolet Bel Air Impala. In 1958 the Roadmaster could only be ordered as the well-equipped Roadmaster 75, and its body was adorned with bulkier, more heavily chromed styling. A new draw-pull grille was used, made up of rectangular chrome squares. For the first time since 1948 there were no distinguishing Venti ports on the front fenders. On the rear deck the Roadmaster name was spelled out in block lettering beneath a Buick emblem housing the trunk lock keyway. Wheelhouses had bright moldings, rocker panels had an ebb molding, and a large rear fender bright flash with ribbed inserts replaced the previous year's chromed rear fender lower panel. 4 headlamps were standard. New brakes, with cast iron liners and aluminum drums, proved to be the best in the industry. But sales fell further to about 14,000. There was a complete restyling for 1959, but this time the names of the various series were changed. Not until 1991 would there again be a big Buick known as the Roadmaster. The largest Buick models were renamed the Electra. 1991 Euro 1996, Buick revived the Roadmaster name for a B-body station wagon in 1991, replacing the estate wagon in the lineup. Using the 115.9-inch wheelbase that was introduced for the 1977 model year, the wagon was called the Roadmaster Estate Wagon. A sedan joined the wagon for 1992, with its own distinct sheet metal, although it shared parts with other full-size GM models. The Roadmaster Estate was a badge-engineered Chevrolet Caprice Estate, the 3 variants differing mainly in grille design and trim. It was slightly larger than the all-new Buick Park Avenue in 1991. Simulated wood grain side and back panels were standard on the Roadmaster Estate, although a delete option was available for credit. The Vista roof, a fixed sunroof over the second-row seats that was not available on the Caprice, was standard as well. The Roadmaster Estate could seat up to 8 with an optional third-row seat. All these wagons initially used Chevrolet's 5.0L small block V8, but both Buicks used the larger 5.7L version from 1992. From 1994 Euro 1996, the Roadmaster, like all B-body variants, began utilizing the iron head version of the Gen 2 LT1 V8, its 350 CI/5.7 liters producing 260 horsepower and 335 lb-ft of torque. The switch from the general ITBI 5.7L V8 was due to increasing standards for emissions and fuel economy that the aging General I could no longer meet. This motor was shared with the Impala SS of the same era and was related to the 4.3L/265 CI. L99 V8 that was the base motor for the Chevrolet Caprice, and varied mainly from the F-body and Corvette applications by A, using iron heads rather than aluminum, B, a milder cam that produced a better torque curve for the heavy B-bodies, C, various intake silencers used to make the engine more palatable to the luxury market and or pass drive-by noise standards. D. 2 bolt main journal bearing caps. The Roadmaster was only delivered with the 5.7L LT1, however, and such cars can be detected visually by a factory-installed stainless steel dual exhaust. The interior of the LT1 cars are distinguished by utilizing analog gauges rather than digital. However, unlike its stablemates, the 9C1 Caprice and Impala SS, the Roadmaster was limited to 108 miles per hour due to the factory-fitted tires not being rated to run the 140 miles per hour plus the 9C1 and SS were capable of. The engine returns 17 mpg US city/25 mpg US highway for a 4,200 pounds full-sized car, up 1 mpg US city from the previous version. The transmission from 1994 Euro 96 was changed from the analog 700R4/4L60 to the electronically controlled version of the same, the 4L60E. Ordered with the towing package, the 94-96 Roadmaster was advertised to tow up to £5,000, although the estate wagon owner's manual extended that to £7,000 when using a weight distributing hitch, dual sway controls, increasing the rear tire pressure to 35 psi and disabling the electronic level control. The tow package added 2.93 gears and a limited slip differential, heavy-duty cooling system including oil and transmission coolers, and a factory-installed self-leveling rear suspension consisting of air shocks, a height sensor between the rear axle and body and an onboard air compressor. The most distinctive feature was the combination of one conventional fan driven mechanically from the engine alongside of one electric fan, offset to the left. GM discontinued both the Roadmaster sedan and the Roadmaster Estate in 1996, ending production on December 13 of that year. This was blamed on the smaller but more expensive and luxurious Park Avenue growing in size. The Roadmaster trim levels never exceeded that of the smaller but still full-size Buick LeSabre, as this enabled the Park Avenue to remain as Buick's flagship car. Interestingly, both the Park Avenue and LeSabre were front-engine front-wheel drive cars, in contrast to the Roadmaster's front-engine rear-wheel drive layout. Another reason was largely a response to the SUV craze, as the Arlington, Texas factory where the assembly line that specialized in RWD cars were built was converted to truck and SUV production. Along with the discontinuation of the related Cadillac Fleetwood and Chevrolet Caprice, this signaled the end of General Motors' production of rear-wheel drive, full-size cars. When discontinued, the Roadmaster Estate and the similar Chevrolet Caprice wagon brought up the end of the era of the full-size family station wagon. Canada's Prime Minister from 1993 to 2003, the Right Honourable Jean Chrétien, was driven in armoured Buick Roadmasters during his term of office. Year-to-year changes equals, 1992, a four-door sedan joined the Roadmaster wagon as an early 1992 model. The 5.7L 180 horsepower TBI V8 engine replaced the 5.0L, 1993, window lockout feature and the addition of a new spoke wheel cover mid-year. 1994, a redesigned dashboard included a new instrument cluster, with climate controls mounted higher and a knee bolster below. Dual airbags were also installed. The 5.7L TBI L05 is replaced with a 5.7L MPFI LT1. This LT1 had cast iron cylinder heads and produced 260 horsepower. A new electronically controlled 4L60 4-speed automatic transmission replaces the 4L60. 1995, only a handful of minor changes were made to 1995 models, including long-life automatic transmission fluid. Larger, foldaway-style mirrors were installed as well, and radios received bigger controls. Sedans wore new bodyside moldings, while estate wagons added a shade for the Vista roof as well as a cargo cover. Heated seats also became an option. 1996, final year. Engine coolant could last 5 years or 100,000 miles, and automatic climate control became standard. General Motors also updated the onboard diagnostic system. The Roadmaster Estate wagon and the Chevrolet Caprice wagon would be the last American full-size station wagons. References. In 1995-96 19 Roadmasters were limited according to GM. External links, http, consumerguide.com 1991-96 Buick Roadmaster /